Alright, so we are right back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video, and this one is a multi-feature for a multi-colored deck. Decks, yeah. So we have two decks this time, and the reason why I wanted to do two decks is, well, I wanted to do the play on words as far as multicolored, but both of these are pretty experimental. They're very conceptual in nature. I've tested both of them many a times in the last week and a half or so. This one, and as well as the Janemba deck, that's going to be a little bit separate, since it is a completely different separate archetype and a separate thing to kind of talk about. If you haven't checked out my multicolored explain video already, please go check that out. Explains pretty much everything. I may or may not reiterate here. Definitely subscribe if you are new. If you are already, definitely put on notifications, because that is very important. And like, dislike, let me know what you're building. Did you go to Cheelai? Did you go to Pan? Did you go to Hercule? Either one of them. Let me know what you think. But this is going to feature both the red-green archetype for the new multicolored cards. And now you have to also remember that this is a new block. So in set 7 most likely, and as well as in the anniversary box coming in next month, I do believe, both of those should have more multicolored cards. I may be wrong, but if you look at the designer standpoint or the designer comment about that, we should see more. But this one is focusing on Cheelai and as well as taking advantage of her permanent, and then Pan is just a nice little tempo deck that adds in more like game aggression, kind of mid-range slash a lot of good board control for both of them. I think that both of them allow for those things to happen, and I'll kind of go through my choices and as well as a few other things. But let's take a look at Cheelai first. So Cheelai, so if you didn't know, I got permission from Egg. Don't you worry, I can do this deck profile. He said it's okay. But he got to popularize the yellow variant with Hana Mastery and Victory Strike, etc. With the Broly stuff. This one doesn't play any yellow. I do believe it is very possible for you to play yellow and as well as the multicolored cards. I don't see that not working. I don't see why not. You could make a side for this. I didn't make one because, again, these are a little conceptual. Don't want you to be too completely competitive with them, but I do want you to kind of open your eyes as far as the abilities that you could do with them, and as well as give you kind of a starting point with these kind of decks. But for Cheelai and Limo, let's start with that. As far as the effect, the permanent on both sides, it says you can't add cards from your life during your turn except with this card skill. This means you can only use the activate main, in which you can get a Dragon Ball from your life and add it to your hand, and that's the only way you can take a life. Everything else that that requires you or could let you take life, it won't allow you to do that on your turn. You still can awaken, quote unquote, with Shocking Death Ball, because you still want to use the Paraguses in order to use the 4 or less effect. But the Broly is really what you want to abuse and what you want to do. And one thing that I may be considering is this guy, the ties that bind Ba, in which you place this card into the drop area and then you choose one Broly card energy cost on 1 in the drop area and then play it. It kind of goes ahead and uses recursion in order to kind of put this guy into the drop and then put it back into play. But I haven't really seen I don't know why I just saved, but the best use for that. But I can definitely see that replacing maybe I would say sacrifice, maybe. It's really hard to say, but sacrifice maybe a control mechanism or the control mechanisms for the boss in order for you to keep doing it. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Either way, when you have 7 Dragon Balls in your drop, you flip this over and you grab a Broly card from your drop area, any of them, and then flip this card over. And then on the other side, you can use a green and black Desire for free. You can draw 1, and as well as remove 7 Dragon Balls, and then 2 green, a Frieza's Army card with energy cost of 2 or less from your deck and play them. The only real, the real targets for those is, I mean, any of the Paraguses really, and as well as the Broly, which could be pretty cool if you didn't see any of them, but I don't know. I haven't really used the ultimate more than I have the Demigra. I use it a couple times to get some super combos, and I use one to get the Paragus out and as well as the Broly out, and then use the combo in order to put out this guy and then use this guy and finish the game. I have done that. That's pretty good. But let's kind of go left or right, okay? Again, getting kind of ahead of myself for this one. But you got 6 Dragon Balls just to draw. Plus, they are targets still for Oob. And one of the things to kind of remember for Oob, and again, I'm kind of jumping around, but when you have this auto, you lead a card as a green Shenron card. You know the deal. You combo this and you choose up to 3 Dragon Balls from your deck and place in the drop area. Some people might not like the Super Dragon Ball in this deck, but you still can indeed choose this one with this effect, and you don't really have to worry about paying 2 energy. So that's one of the things that to really kind of consider when talking about Cheelai and Limo. This allows some sort of versatility, and as well as giving you some options for the other Dragon Balls. You can play a 1-star ball, you can play a 3-star ball, etc. And if you don't like using the energy for it, you can just use Oob and then go ahead and place it in the drop area, because it has the Dragon Ball tag. It doesn't have to be specifically a Dragon Ball, it has to have the tag, which this one does. Anyway, so you use the six Dragon Balls to actually draw, and then you use the Super Dragon Ball to actually draw 4 and choose 2. Why did I do this? Okay, that's a good question. That's because the flip effect does get a Broly back from the drop area, and as well as nets you pretty much 2 cards, or at least 4 more cards to see, and then 2 into the drop. So one of them you're getting back, so technically you're getting 5, and then the other one is just something that you have to kind of think about. So that can kind of go with the Dragon Age Awakening, in which you have 7 or more in your drop area. Leader card is a Green Frieza's army card. You choose one of your Broly cards. Well, choose one of your energy, and then place it in drop area, and then choose one of your Broly cards. Energy cost is 6 or less in drop area, and play it. So that's pretty cool, because you get to go ahead and use that for this card, for this one for removal if you really need to, but this one is definitely going to be the target for that. Again, it's going to be another target for Super Dragon Ball, especially if you don't want 1 cost in your hand and it's just not cool. If you have a Broly mechanism in your hand and you already have a sacrifice or something else to kind of pop off or to remove it, then that's cool too. Even Wrathful Charge might be pretty cool as an alternative if you want to do that. But yeah, I think this is a really good add, and so far to gain that early card advantage for really any Wish deck, Super Dragon Ball is really good to see more cards, and as well as to pitch what you need. And I think this is perfect in the flip effect, and as well as Tragic Awakening, etc. Right, and as well as Paragus Rampage Trigger, in which the second activate main, which you get to get a Dragon Ball from your drop and add it to your hand. So a lot of cool stuff, honestly, a lot of cool stuff that you can do, and a lot of lands of play that you can do. The ratios, again, might be changed here and there, but I have been pretty comfortable with this, and as well as what we're looking at. So we have the Demigra, just in case you already use the, well, not in case, but if you don't use the ultimate here, it is an alternative WinCon, 5 energy, Dark Overwhelm 7. It's just kind of a staple in a lot of different Wish decks. If you don't really use the ultimate ability, it's kind of a 1 more card as well. But the Shocking Death Ball is just for your Awakening to KO anything 2 or less. Very good against low cost cards, and as well as just good in general, especially against Kid Goku. And then we have the Broly Unrealized Ambition. So this guy is a 1-drop. It starts off the chain for normal Broly decks, right? So for the starter deck Broly, etc., right? You play it, you choose 2 cards from your life and add it to your hand. Because it says you can't take life, you play this for free, well, for 1, and you don't have to take any cards when it goes away or when you play it. So generally you would have to take 3 cards from life in total after you remove it by KO or by skill. But because Cheelai and Limo has that permanent effect, you don't have to do that. And that's kind of the concept behind this deck, and as well as a lot of other ones. But when you do that, you get to choose 1 green Broly card, energy cost of 4 from your hand, and play it. This is going to be the main target for that. You definitely want to have this, and you do want to have this, and as well as this in your hand, which is why you want to play the Super Dragon Ball to get it. And you kind of use that as far as recursion and etc. It's just to kind of keep that going. And then we have the Broly control mechanism for the Rampage Trigger. I think this is kind of a flex spot with this one and as well as Paragus, without Wrathful Charge and as well as Paragus and as well as a couple other cards, or if they just attack and remove it, it's really hard to kind of keep the chain going, and as well as to get this guy out so you can play this guy out. This guy, or this card, it's a field card. You choose one Broly card in your battle area, drop it, and then you draw one. It's pretty good just to get some card advantage. And then Sacrifice, which is the more expensive alternative, you play it for one, and then you choose another green card from your battle area. Then this card, which you can choose this if you have no other targets, because it's in your battle area. It's a field card, and then you draw one. So there you go. But that's really, these are really like, this whole package here is just really to get off the Broly early on, and then get more Brolys onto the field. And then we have the Rampage Trigger. Again, you play the control mechanism, and then you choose the either 1 6 cost or less, which you can get this guy from the deck into your hand, and then you choose one Broly card from your drop area to add to your hand. So there's a lot of cool stuff for that. That I already explained. Paragus, you draw 2 and you warp 1. Tragic Awakening, kind of already explained that. Oob at 3 because it's kind of a dead card later in the game, and as long as you hard mulligan it, it's no problem. Even if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. I feel like you'll eventually see it, and as long as you get the Super Dragon Ball early on, you get to use Oob pretty close to that, because at 3 you get to see enough cards and do that. So in my experience, charging it, not that big of a deal. Later on, comboing it later on, not that big of a deal. If you want to play this at 4 and reduce something else to 2 or 3, I'm cool with that. 3 Child's Wish. This is busted only because you get to choose all their battle cards in Yoring Berry and place them in the bottom of the deck in any order. And if you have no battle cards in your battle area, you choose one Broly card and you got 4 in your deck and play it. The only issue with that is because it has to come from deck, and you have to have no battle cards on your end to actually play out the 4-drop. But what you want to do on turn 4 is actually play this card for free from your wish leader, or for the free wish. Play out this guy, KO something, draw 1, and then they have to pitch 1, and then play this guy out right after. So the most important thing, again, I explained this in the multi-card explain video, is that you do want to charge these guys early on, at least one of them, so that way you don't have to charge this, and that way this guy's effect, because you have to have a green and red card in energy, a card that has green and red, these cards, to actually get the first effect off. It's very important to do that, so I would highly recommend to do that. And another thing is that we do have the SS Gogeta Acrobatic Warrior, in which if the green and red card with energy cost of 5 is played in your battle area, you may play this for free. And then when it's switched to rest mode by alliance, you deal 1 damage to your enemy. So this guy is a 5 cost, so you get to play them for free. And then right after that, basically the whole text says you evolve for 3 energy, which is busted in general, red and 2 green. So you have this guy or multiple green and then a red. That's no problem. I think it has to be separate. Someone can always let me know otherwise as far as that goes. It has to be separate, as in you can't have a multi-card that is red and green and then another green card. It has to be separate for evolve costs and as well as EX evolve costs. So let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong on that one. And then as well as this one, again, it gains the power total equal to the cards switched to rest mode by this skill, and it gains triple strike for the duration of turn. So that's pretty good. I feel like that's strong in itself to gain triple strike, 35,000 if you play this guy at the minimum, and then they take a life right before then. So that's pretty good. You can only have 1 on the field as well, which is kind of a bummer, but and also if you do evolve on it, which you do want to do that unless you want to go ahead and use Tragic Awakening, get multiple ones out, they can't KO it, so that's always convenient. And then of course this guy, just like in the multicolor video, it has double strike, 20k. You pay 1 red as long as you have red and green cards in your combo area, and then you play it, you choose one of their battle cards for less, KO it, and you can't play the race in a turn. So on their turn, this is a really strong play to do that, especially if you have multiple of these guys in the hand, you can't use it, and you want to go ahead and stop a strong attack. This is just one of those things that is really good against anything 4 or less, and it can kind of do like a Shikesh Kid Goku type thing going on. But that's pretty much the deck. I feel like overall, it's a very fun deck. Cheelai is very strong for this archetype. Paragus is very strong for this archetype. I talked about that a little bit. I think even Eggman just put out a Paragus video. Please go take a look at that. I'm not sure if anybody else like Joey or No Counters, No Combos put out any of them, but I would definitely check those out. Let's go to the Pan deck. So for Pan, you know, I was experimenting with Pan quite a bit, and this is what I kind of came up with, because Pan in itself, you already know, 15k or more, he draws a card, gains 5k, right? Both sides. Zeno leader, probably the best Zeno leader in the game. Really good tempo deck. It stays the same, right? Most of the cards for Pan have remained the same, like Time Patrol Trunks, in which you can look at the top two, and then take a look at take a look at the top two, take one to the bottom, or add it to your hand, and then draw one off of the next card. So you can kind of take a look, or take a gander, and as well as choose what you want to draw next time. And then Zeno is there because it's Zeno. Intensify Power Trunks with the chain attack. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's self-awakening and as well as to evolve. Digging Deep for self-awakening if you don't use the trunks. Double Shot at 4 because it's just good for tempo. And then After Image, and as well as Is That All You Got for both board control and as well as just have counters ready. I hate having After Image more than Is That All You Got, or at least another counter, because it's not a negate. A Mira without the battering is still going to kill you in the worst circumstances. So I like Is That All You Got for board control, and just because it's a negate. And then we have Bulma for 4 or less, and then we have Foreseeing Hit. Still all the same stuff. What changed here is the same concept as last time. It's just that now we have access to Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, in which you can play this on their turn, draw a card, and then KO something on their turn. Now you have a 20k double strike on your turn, or 25k on your turn if you do go ahead and use this for removal, and as well as draw a card. Now we also have SS Broly for Unforeseen Force, in which you play this card, and at the end of the turn, if there is a card that is both red and green in your energy area, draw 2 cards, and then you choose 1 card in your hand and place it in the drop area, and then KO 3 or less. A total of 3 or less, and KO them, right? So a couple of things to kind of remember for this is that, one, you still need to charge this early on, right? And then you need to charge a green right after that in order to do this, right? I think you can go ahead and have a pretty strong play this guy for 2, draw 1, attack for 20, and at the end of the turn KO 3 or less, and as well as draw 2 cards. So now you're netting 3 cards for that turn. You just removed low cost bodies like Kid Goku, like I said. Very easy to go against that. I played one. Well, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I won that one. It was just kind of close, just simply because I didn't see Zeno. I didn't see a couple other things. Neither here nor there. But pretty good. And then later in the game, when you have 4 energy and you have one of these, 1 red and then 2 green, or 1 green and one other red, right? Generally, if you want to go ahead and do that play in which you have Intensity Firepower Trunks on the field already, you have 2 green to play. You play this card, you draw a card, you swing with Intensity Firepower Trunks for crit, you swing for this guy for 20k, and then after that you go ahead and evolve with Zeno, and then wipe the board, and then go ahead and draw 2 cards at the end of it. So if you awaken right after that, so again, 4 energy, 2 for this guy, and then 2 for the chain attack. And if you go ahead and awaken, if you save that awaken for that turn, because this is again a tempo deck, you untap 2 of those energy, and then use the chain attack trunks or chain attack into Zeno, and then draw 6, and then draw 2, and then KO 3 if they play anything on their turn or your turn, basically. So that's kind of one of the cool lines of play as far as that goes. It's just something to kind of remember in order to keep that in mind, basically. But everything else is just, you know, value and as well as chain attack targets. That's really what it is that you can chain attack this and as well as draw 2 cards. You can chain attack this, draw 1 card, and they drop 1, and they KO, and you KO something. You can chain attack this, or you can just play it for 1, in which your opponent has 2 or more battle cards in play. You reduce this energy cost in your hand by 2. It becomes a 1 drop, and then if you have Sparking 3, you draw 1 and you draw 1 for Pan. So it's a 1 cost, draw 2. it's pretty good. And then finally, again, when you do chain attack something or this guy out, after the next turn, you can go ahead and play this guy, evolve on him, draw a card. And then if you have this guy, you can always play him first and draw a card on that if you want to do that. But you want to go ahead and boost this guy up to 25. You switch this guy, they take a life. Now he is what, 40k triple strike, swinging at the leader. So it's pretty good. I feel like there's a lot of cool things, not only for this deck, but for the last one. I'm very excited to see what other people come up with for multicolor cards. This is what I have. Has a pretty good ratio count for pan. It can be a little clunky, but this is only because you're relying on chain attack to do things early on. So I would highly recommend to make sure that you keep those in hand. I wish I had gameplay for this one as well as the last, but it's been a hectic week. I just can't do it. But hopefully I can get on live stream, or you can catch me on Untap, because I know a lot of people have been playing me as far as testing these decks, and just have been having fun with it. So definitely subscribe if you are new. That is it for these decks. Let me know what you're playing. Let me know what you think about the game, and as well as these cards, and as well as the next one's coming out in June. And just stay awesome. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Later.